Hello and welcome to another episode of Pull Yourself to Pieces, the podcast. Yes,
That's
we're
right.
back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
After and Happy New Year, everyone, to
All right.
3 listeners. Yeah, out there, and
Yeah.
hope you all enjoyed the Christmas special. And we actually got some positive feedback from the
We did.
Christmas.
Surprisingly, we did. Yeah.
Somebody actually
and we
liked
got
it.
we got the most downloads we had in over 4.5 months. How you like that?
Wow,
You didn't know that.
that's
See, I just gave you
I
some
did not
news.
know that.
You did not
I
know.
did not know that. Yeah.
What we want to know is, do
Yes.
you or anybody out there want to? And I forget that. Scratch what I'm saying. What we're going to talk about today on the show is AI. Everybody knows what AI stands for, right?
Yeah, it's from that song. Old MacDonald had a farm. A-I-A-I-O. Right? That's not it?
No.
Are you sure?
AI. It stands for
Yeah.
uh,
What?
of
Slip your mind? Did you lose
Yeah.
some intelligence?
Alzheimer's
artificially?
Anonymous. Alzheimer's idiot. I don't know what I'm going to say. I'm
Hey,
screwing this up.
Alzheimer's idiot. Oh boy. I resemble that remark.
So yeah, we're going to talk about AI today, and we have a guest, Ray, in the studio.
No way.
Yes, we
How,
do.
what do we have to bribe him with?
We'll see.
Let me guess. I bet it's a taco.
That's a good guess. If anybody
Yeah.
thinks about our old shows, we have Tyler, who's been on the show before, and Tyler, welcome into the show. Hey.
Hello, it's me, Tyler, your favorite millennial man-child. That's me.
Well, there's like a 30-something year difference between us and Tyler, so it's a generational change. I mean, it gives a good balance. It gives us a good
Contrast.
perspective, contrast. Thank you on, especially today's topic, which is AI.
AI.
And anyway, AI, obviously, everyone knows that there stands for alcoholics included. No, it stands for
It's anonymous.
anonymous. Anonymous. What does that mean? All right. Anyway, stands for artificial intelligence as opposed to like Ray,
Right.
Well, I'm the real
No
thing.
intelligence.
Oh man, rough crowd. 2 against 1. It's a good thing you're 400 miles away, or I'd smack your heads together like Mo from the Three Stooges.
Hey Mo.
Hey,
All right.
Mo.
So AI, as everyone knows, is artificial intelligence, which is a very encompassing term. Correct? Wouldn't you guys both agree to that? I mean, it means so much to so many people.
It's pretty broad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's a pretty broad.
It's a pretty broad.
It's a pretty broad. Hey, that's a terrible.
It's a pretty
thing to say.
broad,
It's a pretty.
and she's smart too.
All right, let's get into trying to gear this in some direction.
Good
We
luck.
had some discussions during the holiday. We were together.
Yes.
And we were talking about AI, so we thought, hey, it'd be great to make this a subject on the show. Not that
Right.
AI hasn't been talked out a million times, but getting our take on it, which might have something unique or different, or just the same old
Or
crap.
stupid.
Who knows? Or stupid, right? just stupid people, stupid ideas.
Stupid
Right.
people, stupid ideas. That's us. That's our slogan. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah. Stupid people discussing intelligence. There you go.
Right. Anyway, as we speak, I am going into my computer and I am typing
Be careful in there.
the definition of AI. The reason why I'm doing that is I'm typing it into a chat. It's like a chat bot website on the internet that I was made aware of.
Chat GPT.
Thanks to Tyler.
Yep.
That's right. And I typed in the definition of artificial intelligence, and we get back, artificial intelligence refers to the ability of a computer or machine to perform tasks that would normally require human intelligence, such as learning, problem-solving, decision-making, and language understanding. AI can be classified into 2 types: narrow AI and general AI. Who knew that? Narrow AI refers to AI systems that are designed to perform specific tasks, such as facial recognition or language translation, and general AI, on the other hand, refers to AI systems that can perform a wide range of tasks and adapt to new situations, similar to how a human would. Or Ray.
And so is it safe to say that at this point in time there is no AI that can actually think for itself? It only knows what we program it?
Well, that's a good
Is that
question,
cor-
because
is that
then you have
correct?
to go and look up the definition of thinking, and which I could go do. What do you think, Tyler, before I go do that?
I mean, it kind of depends, right? You can, there's two different ways to tell a computer to do something. It's like you can tell it, hey, spit out the color red if I ask you what your favorite color is. Or you can be like, here's a list of colors, pick one at random and tell me what your favorite color is. It doesn't really have a favorite color, but the programming is always there. It really is. It always comes down to programming, but the programming can be pretty smart, and almost as smart as us, or
Now,
smarter depending on the
right.
task.
Yeah. Okay. Now, the AI chatbot has come back and told me, this is funny, what's the definition of thinking? It says thinking is the process of considering or producing thoughts, the mental process of creating ideas, concepts, and associations, as well as reflection upon and analysis of those thoughts. Okay. So maybe the AI can randomly pick from colors, like you said, and come up with, or even can create a concept idea for a story, right? But it says here, as well as reflect upon and analyze those thoughts. That's what
Right.
I think was Ray is kind of getting at, right? Ray, that really that think, that's the thinking part. Well,
Right.
that's what human thinking is.
Right.
Feelings.
Feeling, sure. Being able to feel.
No. How about this? Making a choice without being prompted to.
Well,
Making a choice without the prompt would be
well,
past
making a choice without the prompt. That's
making a
interesting.
choice without the prompt, right?
I think the thing is that, Tyler, would you probably agree with me that you can probably, now again, someone's programming it, but you can program it to think to respond or say something, but it's going to be based on what it starts to learn. It's just going to, like, for example, let's say you had an AI system in your house set up, like, let's picture it like a little robot, like a maid. And she's not hot looking, Ray, so it's not going to distract you.
Everybody ought to have a maid.
She looks like the maid from a Brady Bunch. All right, no, so it's like a maid,
Alice.
Right?
Alice was hot.
Jeez. Oh,
All right,
boy.
that's a topic for another podcast.
Yeah, really.
Alice used to ring my
but
bell.
So you got Alice, the AI.
Yeah.
AI, Alice Intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh my
go.
God.
Very good.
Wow. Who knew? All right.
Yeah, what are the odds?
So Alice I. Wait, I don't care. So Alice I is she's
Alice
around the house.
Our grandfather came in through Alice I. Oh, that was Alice I. I'm sorry.
Yeah, whatever. I'm lost. Where was I? Okay, so Alice I is roaming around the house, right? And she's doing her cleaning and whatever. And if it's programmed to say, "Hey, Ray, put your clothes back on and get out of bed,"
Yeah.
It's
programmed to say that.
Right. But it can be programmed with a lot of it would listen. It would know human behavior. Would you agree with me on that, Tyler? It would understand human behavior. That doesn't mean it has what?
I don't think it would really truly understand human behavior, because
I
we're
didn't say
humans and
understand. It'll know human behavior.
It'll know human behavior. Right.
Tyler, don't you agree that if, for example, okay, let's say the AI would be taught that, okay, it's nighttime, humans are normally sleeping. Okay, this is around the time that someone might get up. It's gonna have sensors. It's gonna know you're not awake yet.
These are all thoughts that a human has, right? Think about when you think about something, right? You process all of the info around you, and then you make a decision, or you make whatever assumptions based on that input, right? A computer is capable of doing the same thing. I mean, eventually programs will be so intensely complex that our future AI systems will be able to think, quote unquote,
It'll
like
be
a
like
human.
thinking,
It'll
right?
be able to like
They'll
take in all of the data. Okay, so it knows it's nighttime. It knows that based on the clock, based on the amount of light outside. It knows that for the same things that you can identify that it's nighttime, it'll be able to do that and more, right?
it's replicating what we would do because we've trained it to do that, and then it just.
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
can it go off on its own? Who knows? I mean, most
If you
likely.
program it to, yes, it could.
I mean, I'm imagining that, like I said, eventually it'll know Ray's waking up habits. It'll know when he gets up. It'll know if he's asleep. It'll just know anyway from sensors. It'll say good morning before he does. You know, what kind of breakfast do you want me to make? You know what I'm saying? That's what I mean by,
This is
to
right.
me, that's prompts
That's
that
all
it's doing on its own.
basic. That's all basic, like, you know, input and response, input output. That's basic stuff. But when it really gets interesting is when we start programming in feelings and emotions into computers, and then, well, then we tell it to make decisions based off of how it feels. That's going to be interesting.
And that's when the Terminator arises.
Potentially,
That's when
yeah.
the Terminator comes.
Potentially.
When you say how it feels, so you mean, like, for example, okay, Ray wakes up and he's sad, and
That's every morning. That's every morning.
Anyway, so Ray wakes up and it's sad, and this thing can be smart enough to sense it in our voice. Okay, this thing is smarter than a human, or as smart as a human, and then some, right? So right. It would be able to sense that he's got to, and it'd be like, oh, Ray, why are you sad today? You know?
Yeah,
Now,
especially when I go, Alice, I want to die. Yeah, it'll know. It'll have a clue.
But that's the thing, right? We can detect tone of voice now as humans, right? Anything
Right.
that we
Yes.
can do, we can eventually program an AI to do.
Right.
Yeah.
It can act like a person. I think the only difference is, can it create on its own? It can do that. It'll create on its own based on things that it's learned. There's another AI out there that Tyler made me aware of that can generate images from just you putting in the kind of image you want. You tell it you want to see,
Really?
a unicorn.
Can,
Yep.
Can you print out these images?
Absolutely. You can tell it
Well,
to create a
guess what?
unicorn, a police officer standing on a unicorn wearing a
Really?
whatever, a funny
Well,
beret
guess what?
in the middle of the ocean. Right, Tyler?
You could, yeah.
Yeah, and it'll
Well-
generate that ridiculous image.
Well, guess what? We don't have to go to the beach come spring for the for the cover of my book.
Okay. All right, that's for
Just
another discussion.
tell that program what I need, and voila.
But the
we
point I'm
can
trying to make
print it
is
out.
that thing is taking, Tyler, correct me if I'm wrong here. It's taking a massive amount of information that's out there on the internet that's been fed into this of whatever details I mentioned in that photograph, a beret. It's looking at tons of berets. It's looking at police officers. It's looking at pictures of horses, unicorns, the ocean, and it's melding this stuff together in what it wants to create, a version of what it would like. And basically, you can get even more detail, but on a generalization, it'll come up with an image, and then you can tell it to do it again, and it'll come up with a totally different image.
That's true. Yeah, well,
So-
it kind of compiles a whole bunch of images into its own. And honestly, I can't
its
say
own.
that
That's funny you
humans
mentioned
work
that way.
that differently, you know?
Right.
I can't say that we operate on a much more different plane. I mean, we kind of do the same thing. We think of things that we've seen before. We draw inspiration from things that we've seen. We go based off our feelings, and we draw. Right? That's how we create.
Well, I have something to say.
Go ahead.
If that's the case, why can't we program the computers to find cures for diseases? Put in all the variables and tell it, find a cure for this disease. Find
Well,
the root cause.
Eventually, it's really just a matter of time, right? Like eventually we'll be able to make, and I've dreamt of this. I wish I could make this program, but we'll make a program that can simulate particles, simulate real physics and and forces and gravity and chemistry can simulate all of that stuff. And then in that case, you can just run tests on any combination of chemicals that you want. You can make new elements. You can, and it would all abide by the real laws of physics and chemistry. And yeah, you can find incredible things that way. New elements.
Wow.
You can find cures for diseases. You can
Yeah,
run a
cures. That's what we need.
simulation. Yeah.
We need some
Well,
cures.
I don't want to play, the other side and sound like a conspiracy theorist, but
Oh, good
I don't know. I
good
just
call.
feel like there's a lot of cures out there anyway, and that whether or not a computer can give us the cure for it, I think there's other forces. Let's put it that way. Who
Yeah.
have other agendas. That there's a lot of money to be
Right.
made in
sickness.
in treatments. Treatments
Right.
is ridiculous amount of money.
Well, yeah. I mean that. Yeah.
Treatments for cancer, are going to be make so much more money and generate so much more income, and just than a cure.
Look, nobody can totally dismiss that theory and be like, no, that's not true. You don't have the proof, and
Right.
and
Either
we don't
way.
have the proof of thinking this is true, so we don't know. But it is a possibility, and that is still true. That's still
What's
a possibility.
interesting is if this AI becomes smarter and smarter and can do that, there's kind of, in a way, unless someone pulls the plug, there's really nothing to stop the AI from saying, "Hey, I have a cure for cancer."
Right.
Just get
Right.
out there. Now, depending on how intelligent it starts to become, maybe it'll force it out there. I don't, you know what I mean? And that's where things get a little scary. That's when you start to think about science fiction. You
mean,
start thinking
look,
about, you start thinking about like Terminator and things along that line. Like,
it depends, right? Because one thing that we're not really doing is creating what's called this general AI. A general AI is an AI that would pretty much just do everything. We make AI based off of like, okay, we have one task in mind. Let's make an AI that can do that task. But you don't want to give AI the option to be able to do everything, because then that's when you can get maybe some sort of
Right.
you could start up the anomaly or whatever whatever
Right,
that's called.
right.
The is that what it is, right? The anomaly. It's the birth of an intelligent life, a sentience that we created that can basically be better than us.
Better than right, but at the
Right.
and the scariest thing is that we're talking about something that could be a culmination of so many horrible people through through centuries, dictators that have lived, and being basically a culmination of all those, and then being incredibly smart and knowing how to execute its plan.
Yeah, exactly. There is potential for us to one day make an AI like that, but we got to just be very careful not to. That's all.
Well, here's the problem. There might be some other countries in this world that might think otherwise, and they may be on the path to want to create that thing and then let it do its thing, and then because it might do better than their leader might have done it. Who knows? It's
Yeah.
kind of scary.
The term I was looking for, by the way, was not anomaly. It was called the singularity, if you've ever heard of that. It's the point in time when all the advances in technology, particularly in AI, will lead to machines that are smarter than human beings. That's straight from futurism.com. But yeah, that's a common theory that could happen. You get the singularity where AI is officially smarter than people, and then all of a sudden we're not at the top of the food chain anymore, and it's kind of our fault.
Yeah. Well, that kind of leads to where what I'd like to really discuss about with this whole thing, and that's really the whole ethical sides and some of that discussion when we kind of would end with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things we could talk about with, you said when an AI machine, because it's no, right? We're basically, what are we? We're a biological machine. This is just a mechanical machine.
Yeah, I would.
That's all it is.
Yep.
Right. So let's put those differences aside. Even if you took the most intelligent person and then you took a computer, it's obviously going to be more superior than us. And once it gets to the point where it can actually think, if you want to use that terminology, or have feelings, is it human? Is it alive? And what does alive really mean?
Well, I mean,
because alive for us is totally different biological, because we're worse than a robot, than a mechanical machine. A mechanical machine can be taken apart and put back together again, and it's going to work. You can't do that, not yet, with a human.
Yeah,
So,
that's true.
you know,
I mean,
a smart robot is going to look at
eventually,
us and go, well, we're not really that efficient because humans, you know, they're biological. Anything biological is just going to die and it's gone.
yeah,
So,
but they may not, think that, oh, we need to destroy humans because of that. We don't
sure,
think that
sure,
because of things lesser than us. We don't have an agenda to exterminate all of them, only if they're pests, right?
right,
Only if they're causing us problems or hindering us from doing something. If we get in AI's way, yes, it could look at us like we look at ants and be like, oh, I got to wipe out this ant hill. It's causing a problem, you know?
right, right.
So
Now,
we just don't want to get in its way if that does happen in the future. But
right.
I think we'll try and be careful for as long as we can, not to create the singularity. But I think it might be inevitable if we're on this course of history, just getting better and better with computers and programming and machine learning, right? I mean, if you have a computer program, an AI program that can learn and it can get smarter, and we have them already. I've seen them
Right,
work. They do
right.
trial and error. They'll run a test like 80,000 times or something crazy just to like find the most efficient way to do this task. I mean,
It's
it's
interesting. It's
learning, it's
persistent.
getting
It's
smarter.
persistent like a human would be. That's interesting.
Exactly, exactly. In fact, we just did a test recently where we put a computer chip in a petri dish with a bunch of brain cells around it, and the brain cells, we gave them nutrients and had them play Pong. Basically, we had them play Pong on a
I
computer
heard about
program,
this.
and it
Hey,
learned
did you
how
hear
to
about this?
play. It learned how to play.
No, this is new to me.
Oh,
Yeah,
say that again.
so
Did you hear what he said?
yeah, basically we put like a computer chip in a petri dish, right? And we put a bunch of human brain cells in there, okay? And then we gave it some nutrients at the bottom of the dish so that it could survive. And we ran a computer program simulation of Pong on a computer and wirelessly, transferred that or you know, communicated that to the computer chip in the petri dish, right?
Right.
So these brain cells would be getting a positive or negative stimulation based on how well they did in the game. So if they did poorly, they got this sort of chaotic kind of stimulation, pulsating, whatever, sent to the chip, and then they didn't like that, right? So because brain cells like order, and so anytime that they would hit the ball with the paddle, that was good. They got positive
Right.
feedback from that, and they got
Right.
this nice rhythmic pulse that was predictable and had a pattern to it, as opposed to being chaotic. And so it actually, the brain cells started to develop the intelligence to be able to play Pong. It got better every time, and
That's just a bunch of
I
cells.
think we
Now,
did this to see how humans learn so we can finally figure out how to better make computers
oh, okay.
learn the way we do. So,
Right. Right.
yeah.
I see. Right. But there's
So
also the
basically,
possibility of taking
so
the
so
brain
so
cells and incorporating them into a mechanical device, and if that makes, it's kind of weird to think about that.
Eventually,
But
yeah, cyborg,
so what you're saying is there are
android.
some brain cells better at Pong than I was.
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
much. Yeah, that's
Okay, good to know.
which goes back to the
Even your
the
fingernails.
NI, the no
Never-
intelligence. That's what
Well, I wanted to say, you guys make me thinking about iRobot. What's the smart robot in there? Sonny.
Sunny.
Right, Sonny. Now, Sonny is given the ability to create, to think, and again, I mean, if that ever becomes a case, is it okay to basically turn off that robot? Is it?
Well, it's actually more than just that in that movie, and I never really caught it until my later years of watching it over again. His last and spoiler alert by the way for anyone who hasn't seen this movie, you
Which is
should have
very
already
rare.
by now.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
2023, but
Yeah.
um anyway, Sonny at the end of that movie, he has a dream that he is. I'm sorry, not at the end of the movie. Early in the movie, he has
Early
a
in the movie. Right.
dream
Right.
that
Right. Right.
he sees someone standing on a hill who has saved all the robots. That's not just a dream that he has. He literally has a premonition. He literally sees the future. You don't think about that until the end of
Oh.
the movie when you see him standing on the hill, or
Right.
you may not even think about it then, but he
Right.
predicted the future. He literally did that. And that was like, I don't know if it was something that was intended in his code, in the movie.
Well, that's really interesting because I would love to start putting the that chat bot thing online to the test and start asking it things like, hey, what's your best prediction for this? What's your best prediction for that? And
That's a good, yeah.
I mean, why not? Right, Ray? I mean, that's pretty interesting. I mean, yeah, it'd be great if you can give me the lotto numbers, but you know what I'm saying? Like just even simple things like they might do a better prediction of the weather than weathermen. I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely very limited right now. This AI is specifically geared towards, just like general text responses, and things like that. It's really just a newborn
Right.
when you think about it. It's barely even a thing yet, but yeah, I think maybe eventually it might be able to do stuff like that. You might be able to ask it, "Hey, what's a really efficient system of government
Right.
that would be
Right.
better than capitalism
Right.
or
Right.
communism?" And it might come up with like an outline, like a plan, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!"
While we were having our discussion over the holidays about AI and robots, and I don't remember who brought it up. Probably was me.
You
because
did.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me. I thought about like, if we can start making these robots look really human, all right, and then depending on what your sexual preference is, whether you're, whatever he, she, or they, whatever you are, and you want to have one of these devices that looks like the opposite sex that you're attracted to, or the same sex that you're attracted to, whatever it is. And let's say you have a significant other, and then you want to use the robot for pleasure. Is that cheating? Anybody?
I mean, is using a vibrator cheating?
You're saying you think it is?
No, I don't.
Oh,
He's posing the question.
Yeah, I'm asking you, but
I'm going to
don't.
say no. I mean, I think is looking at pornography cheating, is looking at magazines, is looking at another woman cheating. I mean, you're looking
It
at another
depends
man
how
with-
hard you're looking at someone.
Maybe with lust in your mind, that might be considered.
That's
cheating,
an
but-
interpretation, though. I mean, if you physically are out somewhere and you're with a group of people and you look over at somebody who's in the group and say, "I really want to sleep with you." I mean, yes, that's kind of like got a problem.
Yeah, that's definitely a prelude to cheating. Yeah.
Look,
Right.
it's real easy. Put yourself in your partner's shoes, and if it would upset you, it'll probably
There you
upset
go.
them.
There you go.
Would either one of you be upset if there was a male robot looked like George Clooney, okay, and that was what was in the house, and that's what was used instead of a vibrator? Would that be an issue? Would you have a problem with that? Would that be cheating?
Depends on the day.
How many
depends on the-
times? How
Am
many
I really
times
tired
is
from work? I mean,
how many times is George going to be humping my wife? I need to know. And is
as
there
many
room
times
for
as she
me in there?
wants to, I guess.
That's
I
a
mean,
good point. See now, that's a really good point I hadn't thought about.
Yeah,
If the robot is better than you, Ray, then
Hey, easy there.
then that's a good question, because then it's like, well, we don't need Ray anymore. Little Ray.
Right. Yeah.
I got
Big George.
Look,
Big George.
Look,
Right.
okay,
he
that's
doesn't get
already the
tired.
case. Do you
What?
really think that you compare to some of these vibrators? Have you seen some of these? They are. You don't compare. I'm telling you now. You
No,
do not compare to these things.
It's true.
They already have something better than Little Ray. Okay, I
Yeah.
promise.
Oh, I know. Oh, I know. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Your left hand. No,
but it's not
my
about
ex-
that. It's not about
My
that.
ex had one that was solar powered, so in case the lights went out,
Wow, that
you know. Yeah.
covering all bases there.
yeah. And of course, there's the little gas powered ones. You pull a little cord and you start it up. It sounds like a little.
God.
It sounds like a little chainsaw. Ring, 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 ring.
All right, I think this conversation's gone too far. I hope we got somewhere. I mean, I think it was an interesting discussion.
Seriously, you think we got somewhere? Honestly,
You have something
So-
else you wanted to discuss, Ray? Because I
So
had
we
something.
never talked. We never talked about, is it cheating? Is
Well-
it cheating? If you had a robot in your house that, let's say I had a robot in my house that looked like the girlfriend that I have, that I see only on occasion because she works a lot. But I have a robot of her in my house, and every time I'm feeling frisky, I just look over and I beckon the robot, and she comes over and yippee. So is that cheating on my girlfriend? Yes or no?
I mean, I think it's kind of complex. Like, it depends for everyone. This thing would be more than just a sex toy. This thing,
True.
although may not have a soul or whatever we consider a soul to be,
Yeah.
and may not be alive in the sense that we are,
Right.
it could still be offensive to your partner for you to be
True.
doing that with that.
You're
thing.
Sure.
making me
So,
realize
like,
that it's in a way, it's actually temporarily or maybe permanently kind of replacing you in the sex department, and that
right,
could
Yeah.
be
right.
that could be a problem. So I'm
mean,
I'm
what
trying to see it a
happens-
little bit differently.
Yeah, what happens when you desire your partner's intimacy less because you have this thing?
Yeah.
So
That is almost like that's I don't know. Is that adultery?
That's probably
Is
the
that-
final. That's probably the final outcome.
Sure. And there you go.
Yeah, if you're heading down that path, that's probably the final outcome.
yeah.
It'd be interesting to see
Hey.
what a survey would say, asking people like what they thought of that.
I think for people who are terminally shy and so introverted that they cannot stand the idea of physical intimate contact with a human, I think maybe a robot would be the best thing for them.
Huh.
Yeah,
On a singular basis. They don't have a girlfriend, they don't have a boyfriend, they don't have a significant other. But this robot here that doesn't ask any questions, that really can't feel emotion, would probably
Yeah.
be a better fit for that person in the long run.
Here's a question.
So, yeah.
What if they could? What if they could feel emotion? What if they were conscious?
Oh,
Well, that's
Yeah.
a problem too, because now we've already discussed that it's a possibility of the cheating, but now there's a possibility of hurting the feelings of the robot, and
yeah. Nobody wants to do that. You
Yeah.
get transmission fluid all over your bed,
Don't want that.
Don't want that. That stuff stains, That'll leave a stain.
that'll
No,
be
but,
devastating.
That's definitely like something I've thought about. In the future, let's say we have AI that's so intelligent and so emotionally intelligent that it can simulate emotions just like us. It can feel pain just like us. It can feel hatred, and it can be sad, and it can do all these
Jealousy.
things. It has
Simulate.
consciousness in a
Right.
sense that it can respond to its environment the same way that we do. Should something like that be considered? Should it have rights? Should a robot like that have rights?
And should we
Good
lock up
question.
the silverware?
Yeah. Yeah. Sleep with one eye open. Yeah.
Right.
hmm
Robots don't sleep.
Right.
Remember that.
That's when you need to have an on-off button on that thing that it can't reach with its own two arms. Middle of its back. The on-off button.
Yes. Oh, all right. Well, there you go.
There you go.
Very interesting. Maybe
Yep.
we'll discuss this again at a later date.
Oh, I hope not. Oh, I hope not. So what
So-
else is on the agenda?
Well, I have something to say.
Go for it.
I want to pose this to you guys because I've always had a problem with this. And
See a doctor.
I have a problem with. It's not related to this, obviously, but I have a
Okay.
problem with. I have a problem with hunting.
Okay. What's your
All right.
problem?
Well, until today,
I see where you're
I-
going with this.
I thought
and
it was
this is
wrong.
relevant. Yeah.
I thought it was wrong. Okay, to kill a living thing. I thought it was really, really wrong. I think it's not. This is how I thought until today. I thought it was unfair. Kind of like that scene in
To who?
that
Unfair to
scene
who?
in that scene in My Cousin Vinny, right? Marissa Tomei is talking about, oh, you're going to go shoot a deer, poor little defenseless
Right,
deer,
right. Right.
I always thought it'd be great, I think I even heard a comedian say it once that it'd be great to like start arming the deer,
Yeah.
To
Give them a
them
fighting
guns.
chance. Yeah.
Right. Well, because that's what I thought. I just felt like, oh, but it's a defenseless animal. You go shoot rabbits. You're going to shoot deer. You're going to shoot, whatever it's going to be. And then I started to think today, because I actually met somebody this morning who is a hunter, and he was going off about, does his hunting trips, whatever, and, goes out. And he didn't go into detail about what he does or whatever, but obviously he's hunting something. And maybe he's hunting, for whatever reason. I guess I find it easier if someone's going to hunt for food, because that's what the revelation I had today. I was like, wow, I'm like, I got a problem with hunters, but then I'm like thinking like, wow, what a hypocrite I am that I'll go and I'll eat beef and I'll eat chicken and I'll eat
Yeah.
fish. Those things
Yeah.
were all hunted, okay, for or grown on a farm
Yep.
strictly
then
for us to
slaughtered.
eat. And
Right. And then slaughtered. Right.
and it might even be worse. Their death
Oh,
might have been
you-
worse than a deer getting shot and died instantly. I would hope, but I'm sure
Yeah.
that's not always the
It
case.
doesn't always happen that way. No.
Right. So I can't be a hypocrite and say, all right, it's okay for me to do that, and think it's
Yeah.
all right when a hunter could be doing that. Now, a whole different thing is when we come to sport. That's a whole different thing.
Trophy hunting.
Well, I mean,
It's
look,
wrong.
my take on it, right? This is my take on it. I think that hunting today, as it is, especially for sport, is a very like masculine-driven kind of competition,
Sure.
bigger dick energy kind of thing. I don't know. I think
Sure.
it's stupid, and
Sure.
I don't think we need to even do it anymore. Honestly, I went to a freaking chicken sandwich place the other day. Okay,
Yeah.
literally yesterday,
Yeah.
and they had this like vegan or vegetarian chicken sandwich. Okay, I don't normally get vegan food. I don't even. I eat everything from McDonald's to whatever under the sun. Okay,
Right.
I had this chicken sandwich the other day, yesterday, and it was so good that I literally feel like I would be able to do without
Wow.
a chicken sandwich now.
Wow.
And it's not even to say that it tasted like chicken or had the same consistency as chicken. It didn't. It didn't. And you know
Sure.
what? I was okay with that because it still tasted good in the
Good
end. And I
God.
could use it as a replacement for eating chicken sandwiches. I
Wow.
would do that. So I think like the more options we come out with for non-meat foods, the less we should be hunting, because we don't need to anymore. If we're just hunting for sport, you're hunting for your entertainment. That's messed up. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's not
yeah,
right.
No.
Exactly.
That's not
Trophy
right.
hunting, just for the mere thrill of killing something and mounting it to your wall, should be
Yeah.
banned.
You need to find a new
Exactly.
hobby, okay? Because
Exactly.
that's what
You know
that
what
is.
though? It's got to be an instinct, because there's a lot of other animals. There's a lot of other animals. We had. I think we talked about this over the holiday too, right? There's a lot of other animals that go out there and hunt. There's all your feline type of things, right? They
Yeah,
they
lions,
like to hunt for
killer
sport.
whales.
Tigers, bears.
Right.
Oh, my.
Killer whales will go and they will like pop an animal up out of the water and break its freaking ribs with its tail and just watch it sink to the bottom dead. They won't even eat it. They won't do it. They get enjoyment out of it. And so the question is, what fucking animals do we want to emulate? Do we really want to be sadistic like that? I mean, it's up to us,
Yeah.
really. We
No.
have decision.
No.
We are capable of deciding. Do we
Right.
want to be like that animal? I mean, we
No,
don't
I
have
hope
to.
that I hope that's what separates us from the animal world. What
Hmm.
worries me is bringing all this back around is what's going to separate the AI from the human world. That eventually get to a point to look down at us and go, oh,
Right.
we don't need that.
Time to go human hunting.
Are we in the
human
way?
hunting?
Are we in the
See, there was a way to bring all this together. Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no,
Time
'cause
to go human hunting.
it is relevant, and here's why, right? Like on Long Island, okay, off
Yeah.
of New York, there's a big deer population issue apparently, or something like
True.
that. Has
That
to
is
do
true.
with Lyme disease and ticks,
Right.
and you're legally allowed to go out and kill deer in the name of pest control in that way. And so, like,
Correct.
if the deer are threatening your own existence, then how do you feel about hunting? I mean,
That's a good point. That doesn't fall under the
Killing for
realm
sport
of what
thing.
Ray said as trophy to me. That's
Yeah.
that's
Right.
different.
And deer are not an endangered species.
Right.
That's the other thing.
That's
I think it's
important, too.
think it's very morally wrong to hunt an endangered species
Oh, I
and
have a
hunt
good
it
question then.
out of existence.
All right. Well, you guys are both meat eaters. If all of a sudden
Yes.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
chicken and cows and
Yeah.
pigs
Yeah.
just all of a sudden became real sick and they died by the numbers, insane numbers, and they became an endangered species,
Yeah.
would it still be okay to be raising them for food?
Why not? We raise them for food now, Bill. Bill, chickens are raised for food. Cows are raised for food. Pigs are raised for food. They
So-
have fish farms.
What you're saying is
everything's-
if in nature they all died
should
out,
be a
but they were
vegetarian.
only alive on the farms, you're saying?
I'm saying that let's say some kind of sickness starts to happen with all our mammals, which is
Okay.
pretty much what we eat. Well, and including the birds too. So this way, it's the
Sure, animals we
it doesn't.
consume
It doesn't.
well, yeah.
Whatever this is,
go-
it doesn't. It
yeah.
doesn't go after humans. It just goes after just the other living.
Yeah,
things.
our food
Right.
chain. It goes after what we
Right,
live,
exactly.
what we survive on.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
what's the
noticed I
question?
didn't say plant life because then we'd really be in trouble. Plant life and the animal life, there's nothing else we're going to live on. We're going to live on rocks.
Well,
I
we
guess.
could eat each other.
Oh, that could be fun. No.
Little salt, little salt and pepper, a little tenderizing.
So
Oh,
the question is, if the animals disappear, right?
Barbecue takes on a whole new meaning. Go ahead.
if the animals are disappearing, yep. Is it
No. Your question, yeah.
right?
your
Right.
So the animals are disappearing. So what's the rest of it?
Like I said, is it okay then to whatever's left to still, go after them, eat them?
Why
Whatever's
not?
left.
Well,
Why not?
I think what Bill's saying is then in that case, if cows are if they are suddenly an endangered species, along with pigs, chicken, everything.
Okay. If all of a sudden cows can no longer procreate and the ones that we have left on Earth right now is the last of the line, then yeah, you wouldn't. What's the point of
Right.
Yeah.
killing
Treat it
them
like-
to
treat it like
oblivion?
any other
Treat 'em like-
endangered
yeah.
species.
Right.
Hey, people do that now. Really rich people, they'll pay expensive prices for really like rare endangered meat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that-
Oh, that's
it's
horrible.
wrong. That's
Yeah.
just
Well, how
wrong.
about
Yeah,
the
it
fact that
is,
we have
yeah.
elephants that are an endangered species and people will still hunt them for the tusks? I mean,
The ivory. Yeah.
Well, it
Oh, it's
comes
all
down
wrong.
to
Horrible.
it comes down to people trying to survive in those kind of areas. They hunt them because they produce
there's
money
value
for them.
Yeah, you're
They're-
right.
They put food on the table for them. We're spoiled
Yeah.
here. We don't have to go out and hunt an elephant. But I mean,
No.
we're sitting here going, "Oh, that's morally wrong," and they're going, "I'm trying to feed my family." So I don't know. Survival. It really comes down to survival. It's like
Good point.
I don't like
I
that
hadn't
they're killing
thought that.
elephants,
Well,
but
it's a
they may
cultural
not have
thing.
a choice. Yeah, I mean.
It's a cultural thing.
Is it for sport or is it for food? Is it for money for food? I mean, I don't know.
You're right. It's
Yeah.
not just black and white.
That's the thing. That's the
There
thing.
you
It,
go.
it really
Yeah.
isn't. As much as I don't want us to have to kill animals anymore, we have plenty of other means to get protein and all these other things from plants and whatever else. I know that my situation is not the same for everyone else.
No,
Good
it's a
point.
personal choice
point.
that you've made.
No, but he's also saying that in terms of your environment, in terms of where you live, in
Financial
terms of
status, in terms
you're
of
exactly
power, in terms of
it
your
might be no
survival.
choice but to
survival.
Look,
to hunt.
there are a lot of things wrong with how humans nourish themselves. Okay, there are a lot of things wrong with it.
Sure.
But in the end, the animals that we currently eat are bred to be food. And
That
everybody
doesn't
says,
make
"Oh,
it
you
right.
can't-"
But that wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like they got together
I-
and the animals were
I-
like, chickens
I
were like,
get it.
all right, that's fine, you can kill us. You can
I
eat us.
get it. I get it. I get it. But they're
Okay.
bred solely to be our food.
That's not right.
Now, if you want to take one home as a pet and not eat it, that's your prerogative.
I never understand how
based-
people could want little piglets and then they can eat pork. I don't get it.
No,
You're eating
I
bacon
don't- I
in
don't-
the
I
same
don't- I
room
don't-
that you got your little piglet. I don't get it.
I don't get that either. It's either or. Either you have your pet, Arnold Ziffel, right? The pet from Green Acres. Nobody ever cooked and ate him. He was around forever.
You go to the
But-
zoo, you look at the little lambs, and then you come home and you have a lamb chop. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And it must be me.
Lamb chops are
Just-
good. Yeah. I'm a meat eater. What can I say? I enjoy my meat.
So you had something you had to tell us?
Oh, I had
We
a
gotta,
story
we got to
from
end the show. Okay, give
I
us
had
your
a
story.
I had a story from back in the day. I thought it was pretty funny. I don't know. You probably never heard it. Billy, you might have heard it, but it was a while ago. All right. So back when I lived on Long Island, I was a partner in a cabinet shop. We built furniture, and my partner Paul and I
Was that the name of
shared
the
the
company?
same.
We Built Furniture. That would be a good name
No,
for it. That'd be a good
no,
name
it
for it,
wasn't.
right?
We built
Oh,
furniture. No, no. Two guys who make furniture. No.
two guys.
Um, he had the same wacky sense of humor that I had, and in the
That's
summertime,
scary.
yeah, our shop, we would have our overhead garage door open, and people would wander in off the street looking for work because back then it was mostly manual labor, and if you needed somebody to clean the shop and throw out the garbage and do manual labor,
Right.
we'd hire them.
Good luck
And
finding anybody to do that now.
yeah, no kidding. We would hire people just for the entertainment value, just to
What?
entertain us. Because a lot of times, it was just boring. You got to work, you worked on your bench 8 hours, you built the furniture, and you went home, and nothing interesting happened. So when somebody looked interesting, would wander in, whatever spiel they had, we would
Right.
hire them. And
Right.
after a day, you would know if this person was capable of either doing the task that was set for them or could be taught to do some menial tasks. Well, I don't remember the year, but one day, summertime, garage is open, and this guy walks in. He was probably in his mid 60s,
Oh,
probably about 5'8", a little overweight, balding on top. And he walks in and he says he's looking for the owner. So Paulie and I, we're partners. So we look at him and said, "Yeah, it's us." So he introduces himself as Marvin Mathau. Does the name Mathau ring a bell?
to me it does. Yeah, Walter Matthau.
Yeah,
I
Walter
might be a
Mathau.
little bit too
Well,
young for.
yeah. Lo and behold, Marvin is Walter's brother,
Oh,
and Marvin lives on Long Island.
huh.
And Marvin's nephew is Walter Mathau's son, and they have a business where they go and do clown shows. They entertain kids at parties and whatnot. So it's him and his nephew. So he walks into the shop and he says, "Yeah," he says, "my nephew's looking to get out of this business, and he's really handy, and he really thinks he'd like to be a cabinet maker, and he has some skills." So me and Paul look at each other and like, and well, we were wondering if you'd try him out, let him work here. So me and Paulie, the first thing we thought was, this could be fun. This could be interesting. And so after a day, you basically know whether somebody's got it or not. So
And this is
uh,
Walter Mathau's son.
this is Walter Mathau's son. Okay, that's still outside in the car because he didn't come in. So we're like, "So where is this child?" He said, "Well, he's outside in the car. We'll bring him in." So he brings him in, and he's a kid of about, I don't know, 18 or 19, kind of tall and lanky, long blonde hair. He looks like a surfer dude. Looks like he should be coming out of
Hmm.
California, not Long Island. And he's got in his hand a 2-liter bottle of, I don't know, Coke, Pepsi, Mountain Dew, one of those.
Wow.
And the kid, he doesn't speak, doesn't say a word. So Marvin's doing all the talking.
Really
So
is a
yeah,
clown.
so he doesn't really
He's
see
still
his
in clown
father a
mode.
lot. I'm seriously. And Marvin goes, he doesn't really see his father very much, and they're not really close. And he's really happy. He really wants to learn a trade. Blah blah blah. So we're
Wow.
like, okay, we'll give him a shot, right? So I look at Paulie and I'm thinking this could be fun. So he's going to come back tomorrow, the next day, and he's going to start to work. So in the interim, we start asking Marvin, what his gig is. Well, we do clown stuff, and so Marvin goes, "Here, watch this." So he walks over
Oh boy.
to a wall where we have an 8-foot wooden folding ladder laying
Okay.
up against the wall.
Okay.
And he grabs the ladder and he opens it up. So now it's a giant, A. And he
Sure.
hoists the ladder up in the air so that one of the legs of the ladder, he puts his head back, looks up at the ceiling, and puts one of the legs on his chin, and he lets go and he balances this this ladder on his chin. The ladder is literally up in the rafters because you
Right.
got an 8-foot ladder on a
Right.
5.5 foot tall. It's up in the
Wow.
rafters, and he's just standing there with his arms out with this thing on his chin. Now, a wooden ladder alone isn't light, but this guy's balancing it on his chin. So, like two trained seals, Paul and I, we start clapping because we're getting entertainment already. So we're thinking, hey, this is great. This is great. So we're like, wow, that's amazing. So away he goes, taking Walter's kid with him. The next day, the kid shows up and he's on time. And again, he doesn't speak. I don't think I heard him utter a word. And he walks in.
He's
He's
back
got
in
the
clown mode.
I swear to God, 2-liter bottle of soda. He puts it on his bench, and we give him a task. We want him to make something, and we actually gave him something pretty hard to make.
Oh.
Well, he went at it, and so we're just kind of going about our own business, building what we needed to build. But every now and then, we're keeping an eye on him.
Right.
Well, we gave him this cocktail table to build, and it was in the shape of a giant Z. All right. A Z, because we built ultra modern furniture.
That
And
sounds
so he
complicated.
it was very complicated. It was probably one of the hardest things we make, but we
Oh,
wanted to see,
Jesus.
we wanted to see what kind of skill level this guy had. Anyway,
Wow.
so he goes about building this thing, and in the interim, it wasn't right. It wasn't coming out right. So he found the gallon pail of Bondo that we always had in the shop, because Bondo has a million uses. So he starts mixing up these giant mounds of Bondo to get this thing right before he can put before he can cover it with laminate. He's going to cover this thing in Formica, okay? But it's not right. It's totally wrong. So he just keeps piling on the Bondo,
Oh,
and he used the entire gallon. So
Oh.
this thing has got more Bondo in it than actual, particle board, which is what we used, 3/4 inch particle board. And so he finally gets this thing, and now
the
he's
Bondo is really going to
attempting.
be used for more like just like a little patch, not for you're going
Uh,
to
yes,
build
right.
the surface
You use
with
it.
So how is
Right,
the thing
you-
like level? It sounds like it'd be like all lumpy and
Well,
weird looking.
level wasn't the problem. It was just that when you go to build the thing, certain edges have to meet just right, and he couldn't figure that one out. So he just used the Bondo to make the thing almost ready to be covered in the laminate. But then from that point on, he had no clue on how to do it. By then, it was the end of the day. I mean, it was the end of the day. Now he was on this for 8 hours, and
Wow.
we went over to his bench and we looked at what he did, looked at the empty can of Bondo, looked at what he did, and we were like, yeah, sorry, kid, you don't have it. Gonna have to let you go. and that was that. And then I forgot how he got home. Oh, he drove. So he drove. I think he had a
And he
Volkswagen
walked
Bug,
away,
like a
and it was a sound effect like wah, wah, wah.
womp womp. Yeah, that's what you'd expect, right, from a guy who didn't speak. Never uttered a word. Said, "Yeah, you don't
clown.
have it, kid, but thanks for giving it
Wow.
a shot." And off he went. So yeah, so we had
Back to the clown
Walter
shows.
Matthau's son work for us for a day.
So 2 clowns almost had a real clown working for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my story,
Wow.
and I'm sticking with it.
Tyler, do you know who Walter Matthau is?
I do not.
Do you remember the original Bad News Bears?
I've never seen it. Actually.
Oh. Okay, well that's a problem.
Yeah,
That was
The
Walter
Taking of-
Matthau was the
yeah.
lead.
Let's see, the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Walter
Oh, yeah,
Matthau
he
was the original Oscar in the original movie, The Odd Couple. That
Nope,
was
You know
never
what's funny?
saw any of those 3.
And what's funny,
movies.
every one of those 3 have all had remakes. that have
Yes.
been later. Yeah. There was
Yes,
a remake of
yes.
Taking of Pelham, there's a remake of The Odd Couple, there's a remake of
Yep.
Bad News Bears. Like everything that Walter Matthau was in was remade. It's
Yeah, was remade. Yeah.
strangely enough. But
All right.
wow, what a story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tyler, you want to stick around for another 5 minutes and do a Looney Laws with us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Please wait for assistance.
It's time for Looney Laws of the Land.
And we're back with another edition of Looney Laws of the Land. We're going
Yay.
to the state and find some crazy laws that still exist there. And we're going to Minnesota.
Oh boy. All right.
Okay, so these are laws that are still on the books in the state of Minnesota that
That's right.
you could get arrested for.
Yes.
This is wild.
Okay.
I can't.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay, Ray. Now
Yes.
remember this one. Okay, if you go to you go
Why
to
do
St. Paul,
why did you pick me?
well, because you
why
might
are you
do this.
singling-
If you go to St. Paul, Minnesota,
Yes.
it is illegal to cross the state border with a duck on your head.
What?
There go my plans for the weekend. Damn it.
I need to
Damn it.
know where the first instance of this happened, and someone dubbed it not okay.
A
You
duck
realize that's what happened.
and chickens.
Somebody
Chickens are also illegal on your head.
Someone
Chickens
did
and-
this, and someone was like, "Oh, that has to be illegal." How does that happen?
crossing the border, right, with a duck on your head, right? Why is
Yeah.
that illegal?
Ugh,
don't
I
know.
just.
Yeah.
Who would
Okay.
do it? Who would do that?
Yeah.
Also in St. Paul, Minnesota,
Yeah.
your bathtub must have feet. You know, those decorative.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
Your bathtub. Well, that's going to be a problem because probably from probably 1950 or 1960 on, bathtubs were self-supporting. They didn't have feet. They basically sat, on. Sometimes they would sit in mortar to support them. You'd mix up a bunch of mortar and sit it in
Wow.
that. But today, bathtubs get screwed to the studs that surround it, and it usually has a front panel on it, and then a surround goes on up above that. But they still make clawfoot tubs.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You can. Oh, they're
But
expensive.
to make it illegal to not have one,
Have feet.
Who's
I
going
know,
on and
it's-
checking that? Going into my
Who's
bathroom
checking
and
that?
checking that?
It's
Who
gotta
gets that
be,
job?
It's got to be. If I had to guess, it would have to be maybe a structural reason. I can't
Don't know.
imagine.
I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
If a cop goes into your house and he asks to use the bathroom, are you allowed to tell him, no, you can't use our bathroom? I'm sorry, sir. You have to go
You're
outside.
gonna have to. I mean,
Man.
All right. Well, with the holiday season, you guys will like this one. Also in St.
Yeah.
Paul, Minnesota, it is illegal for a woman to impersonate Santa Claus, and she can spend 30 days in jail.
that
For
is a
crying out
terrible,
loud.
terrible,
That's ridiculous.
terrible law.
That's yeah.
That's a
Okay, so
terrible
there's
law.
something really
never
wrong
going to
with
St.
St.
Paul.
Paul. There's something wrong with St. Paul. That's all we
think?
can say about that.
Clearly,
Yeah.
they don't see people as equal.
No, that's
No.
very sexist. That women can't be Santa Claus. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
Wow. So in Minnetonka, in
Yeah.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
residents must keep their wood piles neatly stacked or secured to avoid collapse.
I mean,
Well, that's good. That's a
yeah,
good law.
Yeah. That
That-
makes
yeah.
sense.
some kid could have gotten hurt in the past. With
Right.
that.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Oh yeah, he was climbing on that thing because somebody made a mountain out of it, and it wasn't secured, and they tumbled out, and all that wood fell on him, and yeah, so that's a good law.
Exactly.
Finally, we
Yeah.
got
Oh.
one.
Apparently, they made a law in Minnesota. It is illegal to hitchhike.
Really?
Very, very interesting. I kind of think that's a good idea.
Now,
Okay.
does that mean illegal to try and hitch a ride, or illegal to pick people up, or both?
Aha. Good
question.
question.
Yeah.
Because there's two
Right.
parts to hitchhiking, right?
Right.
There's
Right.
two. There's two parts to it.
Right. There's the hitcher and the hitched. Wait.
Yeah, there's the hitchhiker and the guy who puts the hitchhiker in the trunk of his car. So there's two parts. There's two
I mean,
parts to
if
this.
If you look at I know that nearby prisons, a lot of places will be like, "Hey, hitchhikers might be escaped convicts," right?
Right.
In that case, illegal to pick people up off the road. I could see how it could be a preventative measure for a criminal getting away.
Sure.
But
Well-
I mean, in terms
well,
of
A criminal ain't gonna get away if he tries this law. Apparently, in Minnesota, it's illegal to drive a car in neutral. How do you can't drive a car in
why do
neutral?
you?
No,
What do
you
mean,
can
on a
coast.
hill?
No, no,
You can-
no. You can coast.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
you
so
can
you-
coast.
So you're driving along and then you slip it into neutral.
Right. But the thinking is, and here's the thinking behind this, why that's a law, is that in case you have to make a sudden change or if you have to accelerate, you can't because you're now in neutral. That's the reason for that law.
Wow.
Solely for that reason.
Yeah, the
You
car
hit the
isn't-
gas and Right, you hit the gas and the car is not going to respond. The engine's going to rev, but the car is not going to respond. That's the reason for it to be against the law to drive in neutral. Now, it doesn't say how far, but
Nope.
you know,
Nope.
right.
Yeah, that makes
Now,
sense. That one. I
now
feel like-
here's the thing. If you drive a standard car, there's a lot of times that you're going to be driving that car in neutral, coming to a stop at a stoplight. You don't have to keep the car in gear. I used to put the car in neutral and just coast. So I'd be breaking the law in Minnesota many times. All right, what else you got?
Apparently, it is illegal for animals to sleep in a bakery. I don't know why.
No animals in a bakery.
No sleeping.
To
No animals
sleep in a
sleeping in a
bakery.
bakery.
Yeah, not
No
to be in it.
animals.
I mean, if you're
sleeping
talking
in a
about
bakery.
food sanitization, then don't have the animal in there at all. I mean, I guess not just
All right,
sleep.
so
but-
you have a bakery and it gets broken into a lot. So you put your dog in there to guard the bakery. The dog falls asleep. This is a problem. Think about it. That would be the only reason.
Yeah.
that where did they come up with this? I don't know.
Minnesota is strange.
Minnesota's a
here's
problem.
another St. Paul. Another St. Paul, Minnesota.
Okay. Oh, this will be a
Men's
doozy.
and women's underwear must not hang on the same clothesline.
Man, they really,
Oh my
they
God.
really got a sexism thing going on there.
Oh
What is
my
that?
God.
The
what's going on.
humanities.
He's some saint, that Paul.
Yeah, he's an
And here's
idiot.
the last one. And again,
Yeah.
that's St. Paul, Minnesota. It is totally, this is totally illegal. Whoa. Totally illegal to ride a motorcycle without a shirt. Ray.
I don't ride motorcycles.
Well,
I
if
mean,
you do.
Is it
Now-
a matter of protection for yourself, or is it a matter of public indecency or something like that? You know,
I don't know.
You know what I feel uncomfortable? I think I'd be uncomfortable driving anything without a shirt. That's just me.
Oh,
I don't.
really?
I don't. Yeah.
I've driven my car without a shirt many times.
I bet you drove completely naked.
I did that too.
okay.
And
that
let me
should be
tell
a
you,
problem.
Let me
How
tell
did
you, you
that- how
haven't
did that
lived.
happen?
You haven't lived till you've driven naked because, boy, it's a feeling like none other.
Did you have your shoes on?
Yes,
Okay, so you could at least get the pedals right. Okay, with
right. So yeah, right. No, I had my shoes on, but yeah,
your feet slipping off the
It's-
pedals.
yeah. I mean, Route 95 at 2:00 in the morning, it's dark, and you feel like getting naked in your car. Hey, yippee!
I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
like
that
this
pops
fact
into my
about
head.
you. I
What?
do not.
Yeah.
I don't like this one about you.
Oh my god! I wish you had gotten pulled over. That would have been great. What
Imagine
would
that.
you have told him? I just came from a nudist colony. I lost my clothes in the woods. What would you be your best excuse?
I was just running this ridiculous fever, and I was so hot, I just had to tear my clothes off.
Honestly,
And
best
the
answer
guy-
for a cop
and-
pulling you over if you're
yeah,
naked.
yeah,
I got robbed.
yeah.
I got
I
robbed.
got
I got
robbed.
robbed.
I
I
love
got
it.
robbed. Yeah. So
I got
he'd be
robbed.
like, and so your keys weren't in your pocket? I'd be like,
He's gonna be like, "Why is your
um,
wallet between your butt cheeks?" Then
Yeah, exactly. That's going to be hard to explain.
Why does
All
your
right.
license smell so great bad? Okay.
No. Oh, ooh. Okay. So there's somebody on Twitter who claims to be an alpha male. And the guy's originally from Canada, I believe.
Okay.
And he's on Twitter constantly talking about how he's an alpha male, and he lists all the things, and most of them have to do with food.
What the heck
Food.
actually is an alpha male?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, let's
thank you.
talk. Let's
Thank
let's
you.
talk about that. So, what do you consider an alpha male?
I don't know. I'm
Who wants to
gonna
go first?
I'm gonna go look it up.
Well, I already know what my definition is.
when you think about alpha in the animal kingdom, okay, alpha usually is leader of a pack, right?
The dominant male. Okay.
Sure.
Leader of the
So,
pack.
so what would be the attributes that would accompany an alpha male?
Well, the definition coming up is real straightforward. An alpha male is a term that is often used to describe a man who is confident, assertive, and dominant in social situations. Ray.
Yes, I agree, and is usually a leader and not a follower.
Okay.
And an alpha male, I believe, is swims in self confidence, and is also not afraid to show emotion. Because you have to have confidence to be able to show emotion, which most men lack,
So
which is why they don't show their emotions.
why don't we
Tyler
have
was
the
right.
term?
It says
why don't we have
here.
the term? Yeah, go ahead.
It says the term is often associated with animal behavior, where the alpha male is a dominant member of the group and holds a high social status. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's human or whatever the animal.
I got a
is.
question for you. Why don't we have the term alpha female?
Oh, that's a
Ah.
good question.
I have the answer.
Exactly. Oh,
I'm listening.
It's because they're smarter than that shit. They don't need that.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah,
For real.
right.
That's yep.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
good.
They don't need
That's
that.
good.
They don't need those terms.
yeah.
But apparently we have them. And this one guy, the reasons that he posts that he's an alpha male are absolutely ridiculous. He totally misses the point.
Wow.
So he's basically ridiculed constantly.
Good.
And I just
How
found
very
it
alpha of him.
like everybody says, if you have to list the reasons you're an alpha male, then most likely you are not an
Absolutely.
alpha male.
I think I'm more like a beta. In fact, I'm the master of the betas. Anyway,
Yeah.
Well, that's for sure.
Which is why I never really shake your hand when I meet you.
Or if
on
you
that
do, you
note,
don't
I
let
guess we're
go
going to
for about 10 minutes.
say put an end to this episode. Thank God. And have a good New Year, everybody.
Oh yes, please, everybody, don't drink and drive, and
Ever.
be
Don't drink and
safe.
drive ever.
Don't,
Not just on
don't
New
do
Year's
anything.
Eve. Ever.
Oh, don't drink and drive. Yeah, but people tend to do more of that on New Year's Eve.
Why is that?
So yeah, because
they
it's,
went
it's
out and they were drinking.
right. It's the
and
big party night. Let's
they
be
gotta get
honest.
home.
It's the big
Hey,
party night.
Fun fact I just heard about it on this topic. Your liver only metabolizes 1 ounce of alcohol per hour. So if you drink,
Whoa.
3 ounces of alcohol, and then
Wow.
in a couple of hours, or you drink six shots, right, or something like that, and
You
then
need
in
6
a
hours.
couple of hours, you go, oh, I'm good to drive. You're not good to drive. Don't drive.
Oh.
All right.
okay.
Well, thank
Good
you
to
for
know.
sharing that.
Good to know.
Thank you for sharing that. It's good to know.
So Tyler, you'll be sleeping in the whole night. All right. Okay. No driving for you, young man.
Yep. Good night, folks.
All right.
Good night. Be
Good night,
good to
everybody.
be good to each other out there.
Yeah. This is Bill, and you're listening to Pull Yourself to Pieces, the podcast, hosted on Anchor. You never heard of Anchor? Anchor by Spotify is a podcast host platform, and it's an easy way to make a podcast. We picked Anchor because they have everything we needed all in one place. You can record and edit a podcast from your computer or even right from your phone. Then you can have your podcast distributed easily to multiple platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and much more. And did I mention it's free? That's right. Anchor is free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Please check out our website, pullyourselftopieces.com.
That's right.
And you can subscribe to the show in Google and Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Castbox, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Stitcher, and YouTube, or via RSS, so you'll never miss an episode.
And if you enjoy our show, don't forget to give us a high rating.
And remember to tell your friends about the show.
Thanks for listening to our show, and thank you to freesounds.org and Gottlieb, Audio Mirage, Plasterbrain, Cognito Perceptu, FK Prod, Mirage Hazer, Shadow Wisp, DBoss, Viku Seru, Intra Environmental Sound Project, Julian Nicholas, Carmelo Mike, G Kill Hour, 140178 Sound, CMU Sound Design, Alan Mchi, Der Super Anton, Eric H2000, Bulbastray, FK Phantom, Ultra Dust, Ada Records, Stuart Colborn, DeBroid, Cubidup, GJ, Syntax Seed, Inspector J, Astounded, Madge 061785, Just Invoke, Short Record, Lorenzo Sue, and I'm Mackenzie. CreativeCommons.org/licenses/by/3.0/legal code.